Hey guys, in this video we're going to be talking about morning habits of successful people. Now it's important to realize that by implementing these habits into your life, you will not become automatically successful, but if we look at successful people and we model what they do, we have a higher chance of ourselves becoming successful like them. So on to the first one. The first one is that successful people in the morning, they make a to-do list. Now to-do lists are really important because if you don't have a goal of what you're going to do that day, you're going to go through the day pointless and aimlessly, and you're not going to get done things that you might actually accomplish if you were to do a to-do list. Now the important thing is, on a to-do list, they need to be actionable things. So you can't be like, I am going to work on a website. See, that's not a good to-do list. You need something like, I'm going to implement a new page and write 1,000 words of content, or I'm going to mow the lawn by 3 o'clock. And we'll talk about this in a little bit, about how to set goals better on habits. But tip number 2 is that when they wake up, they do something to energize themselves. So this could be anything from going for a run to get your heart rate up. You could drink coffee if you want to do it in a less natural, inner motivated way. Or you could also take something like a cold shower. I mean, if you get in there and you turn the shower on, boom, it's going to hit you and you're going to take a couple deep breaths. Your blood's going to start flowing to all of your inner organs. That is a great way to wake you up. Now, tip number 3 is that they schedule their day. So it's not only good enough to create a to-do list, you also want to have a schedule of when you will complete certain things on the to-do list by. So you might have to cut the lawn, you might have to create a video, and you might have to cook dinner. Now, you can have all these 3 things on there, and it'll feel great when you check each one of those off. But what else is wonderful that successful people do that they turn into a habit is that they say, I will cut the lawn by 10 in the morning, I will create a YouTube by 1 in the afternoon, and I will fix dinner by 6 tonight. So that's tip number 3. Tip number 4 is to wake up early. Now there's a lot of people who are really successful who sleep in until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But what I have noticed, a lot of people who are just not successful, but are extremely successful, people like Sam Walton, who built a huge business, people like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and people like Aaron from Alpha M, one thing they do is they wake up early. I mean early. Like some people wake up at 6 and that's early, but if you get up at 5, that gives you another hour to beat them. That gives you an extra hour of your day to get more done. Now, it's also important to get enough sleep, and I'll talk about that in another video. But right now, we're going to move on to tip number 5, which is affirmations and visualization. Now, these are 2 completely different things, but I put them in the same category because they mesh really well. So affirmations are like telling yourself stuff, what you're going to do today. I will become successful. I will do the dishes. I will make $50 today by selling a product. I will finish the last 60 pages of this book. Those are affirmations. Now, it's important on affirmations not to be negative. Don't go, I'm not going to swear. I'm not going to cut someone off in traffic. I'm not going to quit. Those are not necessarily affirmations. They work, but what you should focus on things you will do, because that's putting positive stuff into the universe. Filling your brain with positivity, which is great. And the other part of that was visualization. So when you wake up, you want to have a dream. You want to have, you just got done sleeping, you might have had a dream, but you want like a dream, like something that you can manifest into this world, something that you look forward to. All right, I'm going to build an awesome website. I'm going to create this amazing business. It's okay to stay really optimistic, but you also want to stay a little bit down to earth. As long as you can visualize these things, they will help you set the stones down so that you can walk across and get to your goal. Tip number 6 is gratefulness. Now, gratefulness is amazing because there's so many things, so many benefits you get when the first thing you wake up is you're grateful. Now, it's kind of hard if you're like waking up and you're like, I'm so grateful I get to take a cold shower. Maybe you can be grateful about all kinds of other things. You can be grateful you have 10 fingers. Now, you might not have 10 fingers. You might have 8. You can still be grateful that you have 8 fingers. There's all kinds of things you can be grateful for. The fact is that you just need to put your brain in the gratefulness position, because when that happens, there's other chemicals and stuff in your brain that when you start filling your brain with positivity, it'll eventually become a habit, and over time, success will just seem to just mesh with you. When people see you, they think of positivity, and with positivity, people want to work with you, and they want to ask you questions, and they might even want to offer you a free product. I know that was a little far-fetched, but you get what I'm saying. Gratefulness is like the foundation of a great day. If you are grateful in the morning, you're going to have a wonderful day. It's going to take a lot to turn a bad day from waking up and going, man, I'm so glad I get to stand up. I'm glad I got toes on my feet and I can see clearly. It's just amazing. Even if I can't see clearly, I'm glad someone invented glasses and contacts that I can put in my eyes and I can still see clearly. Anyways, that's number 6, gratefulness. I'm kind of on a rant. Number 7 is to bond with someone early on. Now, human affection is a really important thing, and it's even more important if you're living with someone. If you're living with someone, one of your first morning habits should be to show them affection. Now, this could be cuddling. There's a lot of other things you could do. I'm not going to talk about that because I want to keep this a little PG, but cuddling someone releases a lot of serotonin, and that early in the morning really just boosts you up. It's like, wow, I love someone. I love this person. I love being around this person. I'm so glad this person's in my life. And when you do that, it's a great morning habit to develop because you strengthen that relationship, you build trust. That relationship is just going to grow over time, and it's something that you're going to have to work on every day. Tip number 8 is to clean from the night before. Now, if you're like me, you might have got a lot of work done, especially if you're an entrepreneur. There's a lot of people in the workplace that they might not necessarily need this tip, but if you're an entrepreneur and you're building a business, if you stayed up late last night, even if you didn't stay up late last night, your desk might be a clutter. And it's a lot easier if you clean it up in the morning. And the reason for that is, usually when it's later in the day, your decision-making process is taxed. It's not the best. And it's easier when you wake up in the morning to go, alright, now I have the discipline and willpower built up in me because I got enough sleep that I can clean my desk. To where at the end of the day, the night before, it would be more difficult. Tip number 9 is some silence. Now, silence is important, especially if you are an introvert, because introverts actually get recharged from silence. And for me, waking up at 6 o'clock, I wake up at 6 o'clock usually, and I drink coffee, and then that hour of peacefulness, nobody else is awake. And that coffee is just starting to hit my system. It's this moment of bliss, and I see clearly, and I know what my vision is through the day, and that's how I get a ton of work done. And I think you guys could benefit from that too. Now, it might not work as well on extroverts, but definitely on introverts. This silence in the morning helps a lot. Helps you clear your thinking, helps you understand what you're going to try to get done through the day. The last tip is kind of out there, but I think you guys will enjoy it, and I think it will benefit a lot of people if they implement it into their morning habit. And it is to read about what happened the night before. So there might have been things happening when you were sleeping, you know, stuff might have happened overseas, something might have happened at work if it's a 24-hour job. The thing is, you kind of want to stay away from things that are irrelevant or negative. Now there's a lot of like, oh, this suburb, there was 24 people killed that night. That stuff is important, but you don't need it to achieve your goals. You don't need to know that. There's also irrelevant stuff. Like some guy robbed a, well, that's also negative, but I'm trying to think of something that's not negative that is also irrelevant. Like someone might have won a spelling bee. You don't need to check the news for that. You don't need to read about that while you were sleeping, because someone winning this spelling bee, unless it's like your child or your best friend, it's not really going to boost you up in your success. So I'm going to review these because I've been requested before, and I want to see if you guys enjoy this little review, and especially if you enjoy this whole video, please leave a comment below and click the like button. So number 1 is to make a to-do list in the morning. Number 2 is to take a cold shower, or at least something that energizes you. Tip number 3 goes along with number 1. It's to schedule your day, which is adding time slots to the to-do list. Tip number 4 is wake up early. Tip number 5 is affirmations and visualizations. Tip number 6 is gratefulness for everything. Tip number 7 is to bond with someone early. If you don't live with someone, you can always go out and say, hey, would you like some coffee with me? Or hey, would you like to play this video game with me? Or hey, could you just spend some time with me on a nature walk or something? That time is really important, and it will strengthen your relationship definitely over time. That was number 7. Number 8 is to clean everything up from the night before. So you might need to do laundry too. Number 9 is silence. And number 10 is read about what happened last night. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, click the like button and subscribe for more.